Our presentation today is something we put together to show you guys some of the tools that we use and how we had a specific problem, came up with a solution, and I'll do my best to walk you guys through the solution, and then we can dive into some questions. So I'll try to go fast on some of the points just to have a bit more time at the end, although I think we'll have plenty of time today with everything that's happening. So I'll tell you a little bit about Quintix AI. Then we'll dive into the problem. We'll walk through the solution, do a little short demo, and then we'll have some Q&A and some resources for you guys at the end. So let's get started telling you about Quintix AI. So we are a company that's focused on building business solutions that are powered by AWS, and we've essentially helped companies automate, streamline their operations, extract insights from data, predict certain outcomes, and augment and enhance their decision-making, all with the goal of increasing their bottom line. So with that, like I mentioned, we're part of the AWS partner networks. We are members of the NVIDIA Inception program, took part in Y Combinator Startup School. And as you can see below, we have certifications and all that. So that's all the background on Quintix AI. Let's dive into the problem. So the problem in this case, we had some content production bottlenecks for a client. This specific client had videos that he produced, published on YouTube and other channels, but their production time was taking too long because they had to outsource a lot of the work once the videos were shot and everything like that. So their process could take anywhere from 7 to 10 days from start to finish once they handed it off to a third party. They experienced mixed results depending on the different subcontractors they were working with. Once they got that back, they started to do quality assurance, and they noticed that some of the things weren't exactly where they needed to be. One of the tasks that they were tackling was transcription from the video to text to add subtitles and supporting content for the media they were producing. And there were often delays in that, as well as errors. If they then had to translate that to a different language, well, that added another step in the process, which increased the time to delivery. And their costs started to add up very quickly. Translation is costly when humans are doing it. Transcription can also be costly depending on the quality and the results you expect. So couple that with the difficulty to manage the different service providers, and their overall processing time and costs were becoming very high, and the complexities of the business were just kind of spilling over into everything. So from there, we looked at how to leverage technology that existed to create a very cost-effective but very efficient solution. And we did this through a mixture of different services that AWS offers. So the first one, I'm sure you're mostly familiar with, AWS S3, just meant for storage, processing of uploads, and archiving different content. We then use LAMBDA, which are event-driven serverless functions that you could write in Python. We use Python to write those in. The advantage of LAMBDA is that everything is billed only per the resources you use. So it's very cost efficient and very scalable. We also use step functions, AWS step functions, to coordinate the different services into the serverless workflows that we built for this specific solution. The advantage of these step functions is that they step through your processes and ensure that they take place and happen in the order that you want them to. So that's actually something key to automating a lot of workflows. We use TRANSCRIBE. So here's where some of the AI ML capabilities that AWS offers comes into play. To upload a video, process it, transcribe it, and then be able to access that data for any number of purposes. So in this case, we're looking at the closed captioning or subtitling use case, but it's able to generate data for a number of use cases. With that, we also use Comprehend, and Comprehend is also part of the AI/ML offering that AWS has. And Comprehend basically uses natural language processing to extract data from text, and then it's able to extract relationships, insights that could then be leveraged in other aspects of the applications. Lastly, we coupled this with Elasticsearch. This is used for a lot of analytics, real-time application monitoring, and some analysis that we did. So this is also a nice component to the mix. And with Elasticsearch, we use Kibana to provide some visualizations and some other additional features. So that, in a nutshell, was the technology we used to create the solution, which basically created an automated workflow that was powered by AI/ML. And in using this workflow, the client was able to reduce the processing time for a number of days to actually a few minutes or a couple of hours, depending on the length of the video. So just a high-level overview of the steps. Uploading the video or audio file, that's easily completed. Once that happens, the step functions are triggered. That triggers the transcription of the document. Those results are then sent to Comprehend. Comprehend then extracts entities and sentiment, and then those results can then be indexed and used for other applications that they want to develop. Once you have that in place, then it's actually fairly straightforward to use another service called Translate, which is then able to take the content in English and translate it to the other languages that are available. So with this, we eliminated the need for an outside transcriber, which eliminated that whole delay of process. And the processing time was reduced from 7 to 10 days to 3 to 5 hours, including human review for things like translations and such. So with that, I'll jump into maybe showing you guys a short demo of how everything works. So let me know. So here we're going to be just in the AWS Management Console, and I'll step through the different stages of the workflow. I'll do my best to show you guys as much detail as possible. Obviously, there's a lot of technical detail functions and such that I won't get into during the presentation, but we'll make some of those resources available to you after the presentation is done. So the first step, if you remember from the presentation, is the upload of the file. So in this case, we're going to use a TED Talk, a simple, quick TED Talk video. We're going to upload that. And then as soon as the file is uploaded, you'll see the progress bar down here below. That will trigger the step functions to start taking over and start doing all the necessary tasks. So now we have our file uploaded right here. Let's move into the step functions. Here's just what we called the step function for this thing. And you can see here, we have one running process in that time frame. This is the one that's running currently. If you click into it, you're then able to see the visual workflow of start, transcribe. So start happens right after the video is uploaded. It begins the transcription process, and then it starts going through this transcription loop as it processes the whole video. Once that's done, it'll then move on to the Comprehend and Elasticsearch pieces. But if we look at the transcription jobs right now, you'll see there's this transcription job for the TED Talk Mark Twain. It's in progress. If I was to click into it, I can see that it's currently being processed and the transcription preview isn't available at the moment. So let's go back here. We'll do a little refresh. Shouldn't take too long to process, so bear with me. I wanted to give you guys a live demonstration of how quick and effective building applications like this can be. The goal of that, of course, is to bring a lot of value to our customers. So here you can see that now all the steps are green. So the task completed from start to finish. If we look at the comprehend step is going to be here. If we look at the transcription, you can see that now this is complete right here. And then we have the actual preview where it's now saying there's a quote usually attributed to the writer Mark Twain that goes, "A lie can travel halfway around the world." As you hover over, or as I hover over these words, you can see that it's actually giving me at which point in the video is this word spoken. So it's in seconds, how long that takes, and the confidence level that Transcribe has that that word actually is the word it says it is. So for most cases, the advantage of using something like this is that it's trained with ginormous data sets. So the confidence level is actually very high for a lot of videos. And I also have the video here ready for you guys to show you that it is actually transcribing. Let me see if I can make this a bit smaller. What the video states. So I'll just play this and you can read along a little bit.
There's a quote usually attributed to the writer Mark Twain that goes, "A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes." Funny thing about that,
so you can see that it's pretty accurate. It's actually transcribing the words. Obviously, it could use a little bit of editing for things like punctuation and such, but the bulk of the work is done. It was done in a couple of minutes while we were waiting, so it's very efficient. So now if we look back at our flow, once Transcribe completes, so it completes, it succeeded, you can see the status of your flow, of your visual workflow here. You have your inputs, which you can inspect. You have the output. Again, you can inspect all this. And then that gets fed into comprehend, which gets, again, the input we just saw, and then produces an output right here, which is now breaking out into different entities and into different common phrases as it moves through the file. Once comprehend is done its work, it kicks off one of our Lambda functions, which is called the search indexer. You can see the Lambda function here. And here you can see the code in Python, basically just written, where we're creating the indexes necessary for Elasticsearch. So we're actually creating the indexes, we're defining the mappings, and then we have other functions that then create the appropriate documents using those indexes. And all this is automated, so it can scale up, scale down. It's using serverless configuration, so there's no additional management that you have to do on the back end to make all this work. Once you have your functions and your workflow set up, it'll always run as you designed it. So in our case, upload, transcribe, loop until you finish transcription, send that data to comprehend, create all the Elasticsearch indexes and mappings, extract meaning, and then finish. So let's move into the Elasticsearch part. Not too much to show here other than you can see here under indexes, we have the entities, key phrases, S3 location, and sentiment mappings that we created in our function. So we can see that right down here. So all that's working together. And then also you have an overview of this instance. And the interesting part here is using Kibana to visualize some of these results. So let's go look at Kibana. This is an old view of the Kibana dashboard. But here you can see we have a previous TED Talk that we put in. Let me just refresh this. And you'll now see that we have the Mark Twain one, which we just uploaded. You can click into it, start extracting data. So it tells you the different entities it has, the key phrases that it identified, the location. It has a neutral sentiment. If we compare that to the previous one, you'll see this had a negative sentiment. So that's something of interest there. The entities are different. The key phrases are different. So it is processing each individually. From here, you can do a number of things. We can start to filter through the data. We can start to do search. We could do different things. So I'll just add a simple filter based on key phrases, and then let's just say 400 times. We'll click that save. It'll actually search through the different entities and find it. Let's just see key phrases operating. Refresh. Okay. I'm not quite sure why it's not showing up, but oh, there it is today. It's hiding. As you can see, the word today, which I selected up here, is highlighted. And the same should be true here if that word exists, which it does. So it just allows you to start to interact with the data in different ways. It's all automated. It's all very streamlined. From here, you can also create visualizations depending on the data. So I'll just go ahead and create a quick visualization using Tag Cloud for different words. So let's say we add a bucket. We're going to add the tags. We're going to add terms. We're going to select key phrases and then show me just the 50 key phrases. We'll play this. And then you can see here a visualization of how often, representing how often each one of these words is found in the different transcriptions. So this is a simple visualization, but obviously Kibana could do a lot more. In this case, I thought this would be a good little quick introduction to all these services. And of course, each one of these services on its own can do a lot more than I've just shown you, but we're not going to get into all that. So let's take up here. And so the advantages of the solution in the end, focus really on scalability, reliability, and value. So it helped reduce the cost. It allows the scalability aspect to be there, given the serverless nature of the services. You're working with pre-trained models that have really, really excellent results. The implementation of something like this is actually relatively fast. So we could build something like this from start to finish in 2 to 3 weeks versus months if you were to code something like this from scratch. It has a high level of traceability. So this means that from function to function or from step to step, application to application, you could trace the data. You could see where everything's happening. So it gives you that visibility into that flow. Obviously, AWS has a lot of APIs and great access to all their tools. So this makes it easy to integrate with a nice front end that you built using React or with other applications, whatever the case may be. For the client, it increased their efficiency a lot. They went from 7 to 10 days to a number of hours to be able to process all these things. So their productivity actually increased, saved them a bunch of money, and we created measurable value for them in the terms of time gained and complexity reduced of their whole operation. So one of our things is obviously solving a problem and focusing on value. We find that a lot of companies that are helping other businesses, small, medium, or large, implement AI initiatives is that they get caught up in the technology aspect of things, and they're not really understanding the business problem, and they're not really focused on providing value to that client. They're more concerned about how cool can we make this application rather than how much value we can deliver. So if there are people in the audience that are building other solutions for people and companies, I definitely encourage you to really understand the problem you're trying to solve for them and really understand how your AI or ML solution will deliver measurable value in the long run. So some things to keep in mind. And then obviously last thing, my contact info. So you can find me on LinkedIn at Alex Labarces, or you can also find our company page, Quintix AI. And thank you so much for your time, guys.